Hi, I'm Suzanne, a compulsive debtor, and I'm happy to be here again. Um, mm, once you get to step 8, it's to me it's very exciting because this is the steps are the path to freedom. That's my experience and the experience I've had with many people that I've worked with over this 25 years. I've been in DA for 25 years. And once you begin to go through this step, when you get to 8, you're so close to 9. And the path to freedom is another way to begin to clear more things out, to clear that path away. So the idea of listing, and so it's kind of the central things are harms. What are they? And the whole mandate is to list all harms and to be willing. So I think the real key here is willingness. When we're willing to move forward, there's just really some kind of energy that is coming from our higher source or our higher power that is very invigorating and energetic to me. And because I'm a debtor, lists are really helpful. It's easy for me to get distracted. So I love the idea. That's kind of the footwork to me, is when we start to list. And the harms, that's where I believe that the we part of the program comes in. And that is, we are really trying to figure out what is a harm. Again, the 36 has some good examples, but I believe that we're probably harder on ourselves to determine what a harm is. So the harms are something that we need to really have other people involved, our sponsor, our PRG groups, the people that are in the program with us. So what we're trying to do is list the people and the institutions that have harmed us. And what's really tricky about 8 is it's really difficult for me and others I've worked with to not blame others. It's what we did, not what was done to us. There's so many things that I would bring up that I have felt harmed by other people. Things that that bring kind of that emotional bruising that happens. But really, this step is, where did we harm people? And I don't think it's always easy to know what that is. Sam and I have this discussion all the time. Is saying something that inadvertently hurts someone's feeling, is that harm? I've come to believe it isn't. Although we do have the ability to make amends. And if I notice that I inadvertently have hurt someone's feelings or said something that was inappropriate, I can always say I'm sorry. But I don't think this step is about listing those things. I think going through the steps and being able to do the 10th step every day, addressing whether I've harmed someone, is a habit that happens, and I find apologizing easier, but oftentimes the apology is, I think, unnecessary. So what are some examples? I'm thinking of, in my own case, what are some examples of harms that I have committed? And this is a financial program. Generally, it's financial harms that we're really talking about in DA. So when I was younger, like young 20s, there was a lot of political upheaval, as it is today. And I went on this was obviously before DA, I went on kind of a stealing binge. I grew up with not enoughism. My parents were blue collar, very poor. And so just for example, I don't think I had a a store-bought dress. You know, my mom made all our clothes until I was a teenager. So I kind of always felt that not enoughism. So I went on this kind of stealing binge, and I did it in the name of politics. So, you know, it was the time during the 60s and a lot of the protest movements. And so I was getting back at the corporations, and so I was stealing because that was my due. They were, you know, whatever. I can't even hardly remember what I thought at the time, whatever rationalization that was. But I remember just stealing clothes mostly, and taking incredible risk. You know how, you know, young people are. Well, that's how I was. And so that was a rationalization and a harm. That was a financial harm. I was stealing, and I made a point of stealing whatever I could. That's a financial harm. I was taking something from someone else. Another example of a harm that I have had to make amends for was right before I got into DA, I wrote lots and lots and lots of checks that had no money behind it. I just never understood that a check was a promise. I never understood before DA that writing a check when there was no money there meant that I was stealing that money. It just never occurred to me. I had a lot of rationalizations, and the other harm, I'm in, I had my own business for many years, and Sam and I owned multiple businesses together. And the harm was in the business harm was trying to cheat the government, trying to cheat taxes. That's a financial harm that I've had to make amends for. And in the case of, in the past of stealing clothes when I was in my 20s, some of those department stores and so they aren't even open. So the harm is I just made a donation to, you know, you do living amends, and that's part of the thing that you work out with your sponsor, is when you begin to make amends for your harms. So, but all of that was an important thing for me to be able to list. And because I was doing it with loving people, I didn't have to I felt embarrassed, some shame, and some realization that, oh, I was really stealing. That was really true. And it wasn't Bank of America's fault, or it wasn't the big corporation's fault. It was really just stealing. So, but because I did it in the—
That was 6 minutes, Suzanne. I missed it.
So I
That
have
was
4
6
minutes
minutes.
left.
I missed the 5. So
Okay,
yes,
thanks.
yeah.
So let me just go through this and see. So 4 minutes left. So there's the harms that we generally do in this program are financial harms. There's also certainly sexual harms when it comes to finances for women. In my generation, there's some, I don't want to get too much into it, but some cultural tendencies to take advantage of the men who want to buy me things, and that could be a sexual or financial harm. And then let me see. So mostly we do those harms come out of fear naturally. So when I'm looking for harms, you look at your character defects and you say, where in those did I actually hurt someone that I need to make amends for? One of the things I really like about lists and about the willingness to look at this is you look at if you can name, they have this saying, if you can name it and you can claim it, you can let it, it sets us free. And that's really the biggest thing about naming these harms, that the path to freedom is right there. We can name it if we can, and we can let it go and acknowledge what our part in these harms are. If we can define the harms and not have lists and lists, then we can let them go. And the last thing I want to say is one of the things I learned, not in the first time I did this step, because I was more focused on what I did to others, but there's a lot of harms that I listed in the second or in the ensuing times of doing this step, of harms to myself. And how do I make those amends to myself? And they have a lot to do with maybe taking on too much, taking on too many harms when it wasn't necessary. And just looking at the dangerous situations that I might have put myself in the past, but also situations where I put myself around people that are not safe, and harms that I have done to myself through my own self, what do you call it when you beat yourself up, and not giving myself a break. And right before we came back from our trip this time, and we had been on a 6-week trip, I overextended my leg and had strained it so that I couldn't walk on it. And it sent me into kind of a tailspin of self-blame for some reason. And I did a lot of self-talk that was difficult and harmful to myself. Really, I just hurt myself and I couldn't do things, and I had to ask Sam to do a lot of things. And there was something funny about that. And so I owe myself an amends for that, because really what happened was that I need to heal. So that the promise that comes kind of to mind about this step for me is, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And it's what really is the miracle and the joy and the wonderful energy of moving up these steps, getting close to 9. Because once we get through 8 and then we start making those amends to ourselves and others, the promises are ours. They're there for us. We get that life. We get to allow ourselves to have the abundant life that we can vision. And that is absolutely true for myself and for the people that I know in the program. And I'm so grateful for that, because this is a life I never imagined having. And I'm with Sam, who I never imagined being with, and that's been a blessing. And all of the people that I now know and the life that we lead is a blessing. So just keep moving.